warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. Hello ladies, I hope this episode finds you well. We're in the middle of June already. I don't know how we have got to the middle of the year as quickly as we have done. Such an unusual time we've been going through. And we've had here in the UK baking hot weather 1 minute and then almost like monsoon rain the next. It's an interesting one to get our heads around, but it doesn't stop me enjoying taking the time to record this episode for you today. And actually, I'm secretly quite glad that it's raining because it's a little bit cooler and a little bit easier to just go about my day, if I'm honest. So today, as well as the chickens in the background that we sometimes hear, you may well hear some heavy rain as well. But I hope you can just soak up the atmosphere and enjoy that gentle pitter-patter if that's what you hear in the background. So today, I wanted to talk to you around perfectionism. It's a really close topic to my heart because I have realised in recent years that actually it's something that I have possibly experienced for quite a lot of my life. Now, I wanted to speak out about it because I don't believe I'm the only one. I have to say that it is quite a personal topic to talk around, and I hope there will be some takeaways for you today in me sharing my journey and also me trying to get my head around, I guess, putting a few things straight, really, in terms of how I perceived it and how I now recognize it. And I think that's really key, actually, on this topic, because something I find really interesting about the topic of perfectionism is how if it is something that you're affected by, it isn't often just in one area of your life. So it won't necessarily be that you're free and easy and cool with most things, but there's one area that you're a complete perfectionist on. I guess that could be the case, but I see perfectionism as running through the veins of our lives in so many different ways, actually. I do think it almost becomes a bit of a character trait. And today I want to talk to you about where I was, what I've learnt, what I then tried to adapt, and then where I am now. And I hope that you'll be able to take at least a few things away from today's talk that you can maybe just ponder on, or maybe take a little bit of action on, or I would absolutely love you to come and talk about it with me. Come and chat or drop me a line at How Does She Do It Life, either on Facebook or on Instagram. It is really important we have these open and honest conversations. Otherwise, I believe that so many of us could be suffering in silence or just debating, am I doing the right thing? Or does anyone else understand? So I think it's vital to start having these conversations more openly, more honestly, to enable people to share their story. And by sharing their story, they then can relate to other people. They can realise that it's not just them. And also, once we start talking about these things and allow them to come from inside of us onto the outside, I believe that that is when we can start doing the work to change what we want to change, or to stand proud in our power. And until we start having those conversations out loud, I really believe that we can remain quite stuck. So let's get started, shall we? I've got to say, this is going to be a personal conversation today, and And I am bearing my soul to you all. So I thank you so much for taking the time to listen. But I also hope that you will listen with a little bit of love, with a little bit of compassion, I guess, because I'm sharing with you, not because I'm used to shouting about all of my personal life and all of my flaws. I'm talking to you because I believe it's important to start having these conversations. And if I get vulnerable and open with you, then I hope that it might help you to move on with your journey and maybe share some of your feelings and experiences with others who might benefit from hearing from you. And it might just start unlocking some things within inside of all of us so we can move forward with even more joy and ease and flow. So let's get started. How was I? Okay, so I'm talking in the past tense here, not because I don't still experience some of these things, but I just think it's really useful to start by setting the scene, I guess. So Jo, as a child, and into her teen years and into her adulthood, into present day, has always been someone who takes pride in herself. Okay, I don't know why I'm suddenly talking in the third person. We're going to bring it back to talking in the first person. Okay, so I've always taken pride in myself. I've always tried my best as well. I don't know whether it's because I was the oldest sister and I felt there was some kind of responsibility there that I should be the hardworking, sensible, serious one. Who knows? We won't go into that too much today. I've always set the bar high. I guess in always wanting to do my best, I thought it was good to aim high because actually if I aimed really high but didn't quite hit the mark, then at least I'd still do okay. Oh, again, the therapists might be listening thinking, oh, there's a lot to read into this. But just being honest with you, I often left my schoolwork, coursework and projects until the last minute. And I think the reason I did it was because I just wanted to make sure I did it really, really well. And I never felt completely ready to do something really, really well. And I'm going to use the word perfectly. That was what I was aiming for. And so I ended up not really helping myself because I left it till quite late on. And then because I was such a perfectionist, the amount of edits, the amount of read-throughs, the amount of tweaking that I had to do meant that I was working into the early hours of the morning. And bless his heart, my dad used to pull these all-nighters with me. He would be there to keep me going, I guess, maybe keep me awake and to support me and to really be there, which was really kind of him. But I almost wonder whether he should have just told me to just get on with it a lot sooner than I did. But that was my learning. That was the thing I had to go through to learn what needed to be done differently next time. And I got there in the end. So having shared some of those with you, I wanted to share also how I feel it might have affected me being like this. Now, at the time, I was just doing what I knew. I didn't really know any different. I had these high hopes. I wanted to do well. But what I realised now looking back is that I probably put an awful lot of undue pressure on myself. And that quite possibly led to the nervousness that I felt when I was going to be doing something in front of people. And in turn, the panic attacks that came. I didn't want to, be out of place in a situation. I wanted to do it all just right and fit in and almost blend into the background. And so, unfortunately, because I was trying so hard to do that, the panic attacks and the anxiety did kick in. And actually, I have to say that I do think, although there I was trying to do my best, I think it did eventually lead to low mood as well, because nothing I ever did felt good enough, or the bar was so high, not placed there by anyone but myself, but it was placed so high that I never felt I was quite getting there, I guess. Interestingly, when I look back now, I think about what my internal voice, my self-talk would have been like at that time when I was constantly striving, maybe putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I do remember that if I did get little things wrong, or I didn't perhaps make the grade at times, I was quite critical with myself. My voice inside was a little bit harsh. It certainly isn't the voice that I would have used with anyone else. They say, don't they, to treat yourself like you would your best friend. Well, I don't think I really did. And that is hard actually to think about, because I now know so much more about how important it is to be so kind to ourselves. But I was unforgiving, I was critical, and I didn't give myself a lot of slack. So already talking this out loud today, I'm thinking perfectionism really isn't a very great thing, to be honest with you. I was always thinking that it was me doing my best, me trying to be perfect. So all those things I was trying to do to self-improve and to succeed were actually causing me quite a lot of negative feelings, and that wasn't really recognized by myself at the time. It was just what I knew, I guess. That was just how I was. But it has taken a worldwide pandemic for me to get quiet, get still, get very uncomfortable, and actually experience counselling as well for something else, I have to add, for me to have really got to the point where I could face it, look at it, talk to it, and recognise how it wasn't serving me, it still isn't serving me, and what I was going to do about it. So as I say, I went for some counselling, and actually it was 10 weeks worth of counselling. So we covered so many things, not just the trauma, stress response that I'd experienced because of the lockdown. And it was so enlightening. I was able to realise many weeks in that my perfectionism is something that I've almost used as a protection for myself. And interestingly, I've read something recently from Brené Brown, the amazing Brené Brown, who I'm sure you all listen to and read just as much as I do. But her comment really struck home with me, and it made me realise that I haven't been protecting myself all this time. I've actually been holding myself back. And let me read that little passage to you now. Perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be your best. Perfectionism is not about healthy achievement and growth. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. Perfectionism is a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us, when, in fact, it's the thing that's really preventing us from taking flight. That is so powerful. I do wish that 14, 15, 25-year-old Joe had read that passage from Brené Brown. It really puts things in perspective for me. And interestingly, I did a poll on Instagram with you guys, and I was asking whether anyone else experienced perfectionism. In my head, I thought it was going to be 100% yes. I just assumed that everyone else felt exactly the same as me. And that's a bit crazy when you think about it. But it wasn't that at all. It was close, but actually the balance tipped to no. And I've got to say, I want to speak to all of the people that said no in that poll, because I'd love to ask them how. How did you do that? How did you not become a perfectionist? How much must you have achieved without holding yourself back that perhaps I haven't and the other perfectionists haven't? So it was 47% said yes, and 53% said no, they're not perfectionists. So I thought that was really interesting. I guess it makes sense that it was nearly half and half, but it did challenge me to realise that I am not quite in the majority like I thought I was. I just assumed most people are perfectionists. So well done to all of you who aren't. I hope you are flying free, and I'm certainly heading in that direction, but aspire to be so much more free of my thoughts, of my judgment than perhaps I am at the moment currently. So when I was facing this perfectionism realization in the counselling, obviously there was a lot of quiet time for me to fill with my thoughts and my words. And it was really interesting because I didn't actually know what was going to come out of my mouth. I obviously realised that through talking with my counsellor, I had always put up this protective shield, and it was to look after myself, to not allow myself to be exposed. And like Brené Brown says, to avoid the judgment, the blame, the shame maybe. And it was when the counsellor asked me, well, why? Why can't you just put the work out there or do the thing? And I was saying that I do try to do that. I absolutely try to do that, but something always stops me. It's never good enough. It could always be edited more, or I might think about what people might think of me. So that external judgment, which I think I've spoken with you guys about before, I'm working really hard not to worry about what other people think as much, but it does take continual work as far as I'm concerned. I got to the point where I realised that maybe life could be more fun and flow more easily if I just took away a little bit of that high expectation. And I heard myself start talking with the counsellor around how actually always going for 100% isn't serving me, because I will aim for 100%, but because I never quite get to 100%, so many projects, so many ideas, so many dreams never even see the light of day. And so I came to the conclusion that I would go for 80% good enough. Now, for me, that meant really changing a habit of a lifetime and lowering my standards, actually. But what I said to the counsellor was, well, actually, maybe my 80% is going to seem perfectly fine for anyone seeing it from the outside. Maybe it's only me that's quite as critical and harsh with myself, and everyone else would just not even bat an eyelid. They'd read something, hear something, and think it seems perfectly fine. And so I started to employ this new tactic of 80% good enough. I also decided that I was going to very much be proud and celebrate myself for finishing something. So finishing it at 80% good enough was going to be a celebration in my head. And if that thing then went well and was a success, whether it was a business offering or doing the podcast, then if it was a success, I'd already celebrated because I'd already committed to myself and met my deadline, and I'd be proud of that. But if other people liked it or ordered the service or listened to the podcast, then I would celebrate again. So rather than waiting for external approval, I would be really, really proud of myself for just getting that thing done. Whatever that thing was, whether it was a small thing or whether it was a much bigger thing, like getting the podcast off the ground for the first time. And I've got to say that since taking that decision and coming up with my mantra, I have started to tick so many more things off my list of achievements. And I feel so proud. And I don't look back over the last 6 months and think, oh, yeah, I got those things done, but I wish I could have done them better. Or if I'd have spent a bit more time, then maybe I'd be happier with myself. I really, really don't. I just feel so proud to have achieved far more momentum than I ever have done before, and to have been brave and just put it out there and not judged myself. I've just treated myself with love and kindness and pride. I realise now how much I've held myself back with perfectionism in the past. All those times I wasn't quite ready. All of the times I didn't put my hand up or share my insight or wisdom. All the times I compared myself so unfavourably to anyone else, and how that stopped me in my tracks because I looked at myself as a lesser person. I think something that has really struck a chord with me is that as I have been less hard on myself, I have actually started to believe in myself more. Now, I want that to be a message that you really, really take on board today as you listen to this. Could you just set your bar a little lower and just be really proud of yourself for achieving something at 80% of your normal standard? Because I wouldn't mind betting that if you did that, you'd be able to tick some more achievements off in your life. You'll gain momentum because you'll be doing things that little bit faster, and therefore you'll be able to achieve more of the goals that you're wanting to do, and that will increase your momentum. It will probably lift your vibe, lift your energy as well, which in turn will attract the right people to you in your life, in your business. So I really, really urge you to just try with the next project that you're working on, whether it's writing your biography to go on your website, whether it's talking about a service you offer, whether it's about getting some photos done that you've held back on doing because you're worried, like I was before I had all my branding photography done. I was so worried that what if I didn't get it just right? What if it didn't look the way I wanted it to look? But then I decided that if I didn't have any kind of branding photography, no one would see anything. So I went for it, and I was absolutely delighted with the outcome. And therefore, I ended up being able to make banners, make my website, and really gain that momentum. So there are times that I have been able to prevent perfectionism from stopping me in my tracks. But I don't doubt that if I had been kinder to myself, that I would have achieved so many of the things that I have done so much sooner. I've realised that overcoming perfectionism is very much tying in with me beginning to believe in myself so much more than I ever have done, really loving the person that I am, really being proud of the things I have achieved, being incredibly kind to myself when I've failed, learning from those failures and not judging and being so negative with myself like I used to be. I believe that to overcome perfectionism, we just need to go so big on the self-love, and actually it will probably start to evaporate before our eyes. So I would love to hear anything that you decide to do slightly differently, having listened to today's episode. Another area of perfectionism that I think is really worth mentioning is that of social perfectionism. And what I mean by that is we might not do something for fear of what others might think of it. And this has been a really big one for me. And I think that by getting kinder with myself and being proud of what I do, regardless of external judgment or validation, has been really beneficial in my momentum building too. I don't know whether it's a hang up from being a teenager and worrying what everyone thought of me, or whether it's just in my DNA and that is just who I am. But as I've got older And as I've learnt more about myself, and definitely with the counselling that I've had, I've absolutely realised that I did used to do a lot to try and keep everyone else happy and to look good enough. And now I believe I am enough. And that is definitely providing me with so much more flow and ease and momentum. I keep using that word, but I think it's really valuable in this case. It really does increase these things and means that I'm less hesitant, less judgmental, and more about, hell yeah, let's just get on this journey and make it happen. And if it doesn't go right, then I learn from it. If it doesn't go right, I tweak it. Or I decide that maybe it's not going to go any further than this and I move on to the next thing. What is the worst that could happen? And so perfectionism is now becoming something that is a much quieter voice for me. I still care that I work hard. I still care that I don't upset anyone. That's just my nature. I want to be a good person. I want to be a kind person. I want my business to be professional. But I realise that it doesn't have to be perfect, and neither do I. So for me, a lot has changed actually since I changed my approach or adopted this new approach. I don't actually know what the word would be to, if you're a recovering perfectionist, what have you then become? Maybe I've just become a self-assured woman. So just a few of the things that have changed for me. I've braved singing in public, and I would never have done that if I hadn't have started to really trust in myself and believe that 80% was good enough. I've been writing so much more, both journaling, songwriting, poetry writing, and I've definitely been speaking my truth without so much worry. Because that is my truth. I don't need to worry about judgment because I'm only sharing what is true to me. I've allowed myself just to simply be me, without the judgment, without the criticism that I so often used to give myself. I'm also worrying a little bit less about what people think of me. Now, this is something that is always going to be a work in progress, I think, because I don't want to upset anyone. I do want to always be a voice of calm, a voice of reason, and with a natural kindness. I guess that's something that I need to work on. Getting to the point where I have my own podcast has been such a huge dream for me. It had been a dream for a long time, but my concerns about the fact that I might not get it right did hold me back. And so I got to the point where I actually decided to share my dream out loud with friends before it came to fruition. I decided to almost hold myself accountable by saying it out loud. So I had to just get on and do it. And that is exactly what I did. And I am so glad that I did. Before I wrap things up today, I just wanted to share a few more things with you. They're very quick, they're very punchy, and I hope that you can take something from them. The first is something that my husband said when I explained to him that I had decided that 80% was going to be good enough for me in future. And he said, 80% of something is so much better than 100% of nothing. I'm just going to leave that with you for a minute. I love that. Absolutely love it. And it epitomizes all that I've been through. I also wrote a few notes thinking about how I speak with my children actually these days, because I don't want to pass on my perfectionism to them. And though I might have done already unwittingly, I'm doing my best to speak in a really positive language for them, so they know that they do not have to be aiming for such heights that mean that they remain stationary, I guess, and stagnant. It's not about winning the race. It's about enjoying the challenge of it. It's not about getting straight A's. It's about doing your best. It's not about aiming for perfection. It's simply about enjoying the journey. Wow, what an episode. I've really enjoyed today, and I really hope that you have taken something from it. I would love to hear from you. Please get in touch at How Does She Do It Life, either on Facebook or on Instagram, or drop me an email via the contact form on the website. It would be so delightful to hear from you, to know that what I am sharing is having an impact, making a difference, making you think about how you could be kinder to yourself. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.